What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode and another week where I didn't pull out my headphones and I actually remembered to have audio for Gunk this time. I'm Nick, and as I mentioned, he's Gunk. Welcome into another episode of the What the Puck podcast. Gunk, we're talking about the Devils. Before we were talking about the Devils' struggles recently. They're not looking good.
No,
And you were talking about the comparison of Luke Hughes to Giannis's younger brother of the Milwaukee Bucks,
Thaddeus
Thanasis,
Hughes,
or whatever we
Thanasis,
said.
Thanasis Hughes, baby.
Thanasis
That
Hughes,
apparent,
baby.
very, very, very. Oh, these fans sometimes will think of the weirdest stuff, man. But yeah, not a good comparison. Not a good comparison at all. John
Thanasis.
Thanasis is not the level of Luke Hughes. I'm sorry, but it is funny to hear from Devils fans just because they do come up with the craziest stuff for like people. It's not even
It's
funny, but
but
it's terrible. But yeah, after the week I had, that was that. After the week of hockey that I had to endure, I mean, that was pretty damn funny, and you got to give it to him. And you can tell that the kid is just frustrated out there. I mean,
it
it's
it's
ridiculous. He's
unfortunate to
so
see the way
frustrated.
it's unfortunate to see the way his play has been recently because it's not stuff that he's getting forced into weird positions that he can't really do anything with. So I understand
Right,
that, but sometimes it does also just look like he's getting burned.
right, absolutely. No,
But if even going back to the most recent Devils game, the game against the Rangers, I thought he looked pretty decent for most of the game. Couple here and there, I noticed he was a little spotty, but other than that, I thought he was pretty good on the ice. I felt like his presence was somewhat noticed. He was out there, he was making plays, so I feel like he was good. But yeah, you can really see that frustration really starting to take hold a
yeah,
little bit, and it's unfortunate this late in the season, but honestly, with the way the season's going, it's fine, I guess. It's an
yeah.
experience season. It seems like for this team.
And again, I rather have people that are frustrated with the season and will show their frustrations with it, on the ice. I'd rather see that in that passion than somebody just sitting back and just sulking. You know what I mean? It's like you could see his passion on the ice. And okay, and he said, Devils fans, the cackle excuse me, the capo goal that he scored in the breakaway. The poor kid broke his stick. What do you want him to do?
Yeah,
He's
that
chasing he's chasing a second round pick who has been pretty good this year, chasing him without a damn stick,
all right.
almost caught up to him. What do you want the kid to do? What, he had no stick in his hand.
Yeah, it's
I mean, seriously. I mean, what do you want this kid to do? Fucking strap rockets on his ass? I mean, he tried his best. I mean, it was a great shot. I mean, you can't. There's nothing wrong with what he did on there. He took a slap shot. He broke his stick. Unfortunately, the puck ended right up on Capo's stick, and he was gone. And he stayed up with him. How much more do you ask for? If that's anybody else on defense, it's gonna happen. The same play's gonna happen,
yeah,
and it's gonna be worse because it's gonna be a clear breakaway. So
yeah, because
stop with all
like,
the stop with all the Luke
what is he
Cage.
supposed to do? He's not supposed he can't push him because then it's a penalty shot, which he may score on anyway.
Right.
And you're not gonna just skate over to the bench to try to grab a stick and get back in the play. You're too far out. Like there's not much he could have done. He did the
There's
right
not
thing.
much. No, he did the right thing. So stop with all these devil Luke haters out there. Stop with it. Just the kid is 20 years old. Let him develop. He will develop. And like I was saying before, when we had the little hiccup, Dougie Hamilton has been is the experience that he brings to this team is fortunately you could see this. Unfortunately for us this year, you could see what he brings to the table as far as experience, leadership on this team, and we are missing it this year. And I feel like that's one of the big points of this season is somebody to stabilize this team, and they've never had it all year. And unfortunately, this is the season we're going through, so it's going to be a few more games that I'm going to enjoy. I'm still going to enjoy because, as you saw on my TikTok, I am so fucking frustrated with this team. It's
Yes,
not even funny.
as people might have saw on our TikTok at What the Puck Pod, Gunk has uploaded some content following I believe it was the Sabres game, correct?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was a Sabres game. That one.
because that was
Again,
the blown 2-0 lead. That's right. Okay,
that was the blown two
that's the
nothing lead.
4-goal Tage night.
I'm sorry, no. I'm sorry. It was the Penguins game. The Penguins game.
Oh, the
The
pens broke
Penguins game.
you.
The Penguins game literally broke me. And again, I'll give you the whole story since I was just doing like a real quick TikTok. I was literally walking into work as I was doing that TikTok because I was so pissed. So as most people know, I work an overnight shift. I work from 11 to 7 a.m. And I my wife she was working late that night. So my daughter went to bed and I was watching the game and it was 2-0. Or excuse me, it was 2-1, I think it was. Or no, it was 3-1. I'm sorry, it was 3-1. I'm like, all right, it's like 9 o'clock. I'm gonna kick my eyes back for a few minutes. And I didn't even realize I fell asleep. And I just fell asleep in my chair, just eyes kicked back. You know how if you work that shift, you know that
Oh,
the deal.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? If you work an overnight shift, you know the deal where you just fall asleep regardless. And I've been doing overnight shifts for almost 25 years now, almost 30 years. So I understand this. I fell asleep. My wife comes up. She wakes me up. I hear the door and she wakes me up. And I'm like, all right, what's the score? I know I couldn't have fell asleep for that. Maybe it was like 20 minutes. And I looked I looked down at my phone and I saw Penguins were up 5-3. And I went, that's got to be an error. NHL must
It's
have
gotta be a
something wrong with
joke.
It's got to be a joke. It's got to be a joke. Somebody's messing with the app or something. Especially with this year so far, we don't know what's going on with tidal waves and earthquakes and everything going on in this area. It's
Something
like
fucking started on the earthquakes and
yeah,
eclipses.
tell me. So I wake up, I look at my phone, it says Penguins 5, Devils 3. I'm like, are you serious? So I look up at the TV, it was on commercial. As soon as they come back, it says 5-3 Penguins. I said, what
I'm not
the
being joked
fuck
with.
happened? And I'm trying not to curse on here as much, but I literally was like, what happened? How did I go sleep for 20 minutes at like I think it was like 3 minutes into the third period and it was 3-1. And I wake up 20 minutes later and it's 5-3. I was like, what the fuck? And I saw the highlights and I'm like, yeah, and then I said at that point it was done. I had like an hour or so to comprehend thoughts in my head. And when I got to work, all I could think of was, this is it. I'm done. It's over. It's over. It's over, Johnny. It's over. It's over, Johnny. I don't care. Nothing is over. No, it's over. Goodbye. And sure enough, they replicated that on Wednesday, which was one of the greatest old school goddamn hockey games in the world. Oh my God. I have never seen a game so fucking intense and great.
I got people saying
Give it
they
up
did
for
not want them fighting at the beginning of the game, and I tell them, fuck you.
There was something I just saw on TikTok. That's so funny. I was watching a TikTok right before I jumped on here, just trying to wake up a little bit. Because again, I do work overnight shift, and I was waking up again, as the last title of our last episode was, waking up. I looked at TikTok and Shesterkin. I didn't even realize that Shesterkin had his blocker off, so he was ready to go too, but never did.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes, I never.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Somebody pointed that out literally maybe a half hour ago on TikTok when I saw it. I was like, wow, Shesterkin was ready to get into it too, because they were talking about the Rangers being a real team now, which after watching that game, I agree.
Except they're starting to become not good in the second period, though, which is starting to become my concern.
We can go back. We'll go back to that. We'll get to your. I don't know how can you have any frustrations, but you can get to your frustrations in a minute. It's my time.
I definitely have a little bit of frustrations, but we can go ahead and keep talking about the Devils, because with that game, the Devils looked dead in the water in that first period.
Dead in the water. I mean, you figured this would start. This would give them like, let's go. We're going. No.
Nope.
It literally drained the tank. And Greeny's even saying like, did you think this was? We knew the Empire State Building. Stop. God bless him, dude. That thing was awesome. I got to give the kid credit. He took his beating like a man, laughed at them, and took his being like a man. I can respect that. I mean, I don't like it. He's not going to be one of my favorite players ever, but I will give number 73 his respect today.
All right.
He stepped up. He stepped up to the Devil's goon, the Devil's enforcer, Curtis McDermott, and fought him for a good minute and a half. And it was a classic. I mean, both of them dropped bombs on each other, which was awesome.
But I
I
love how
mean,
Devil's legend Jimmy Veazey stays in the game because he was the first one to drop the gloves.
him and freaking Lazar smart.
They
Fucking
dropped
Curtis
on the
Lazar
rip.
smart. He saw this shit coming a mile away. He was like, you know what? I want to stay in this goddamn game. He knew the rules probably. He was like, I'm gonna jump him. Him
It's
and VZ jumped, and then everybody went, and I went, okay. Yeah, you're waiting. You can feel the anticipation. You know who's on the ice, so you know this is gonna start right at the face off. I'm like, all right, McDermott, Remke, let's go. Let's get this over with. Let's get them ejected. Let's get to a hockey game. No, that is exactly not what happened.
Nope.
Lazar and VZ go at it like literally from jump. And then it starts, and then the heavyweight fight starts. You can see it on the screen near the benches. It's like, okay, let's go. Exactly. I and I know I will not be rooting for the Rangers this year. I'm
Why?
sorry.
Boo! You saw
No
my
way.
comment. You saw the comment.
No,
I know
I
you
know I
did.
said
I
it.
know you did. I know you did because
Oh,
that's
I
the only
saw
reason
it.
why you bring it up. You told me to pick a team for you. Just New
I
York
know.
Rangers. This one, baby. This
No.
one right here. The New York Rangers. You know
You
you wanna.
knew-
You know you want to.
You knew there was no way in my heart of hearts that I could ever root for the Rangers. There's no. Now, don't get me wrong.
I don't.
I will personally because I have you, I have Papa Ferry, I have Lexi. Yous are all Rangers fans. I want the best for you, so yes, I will hope that if somebody I like doesn't get all the way to the thing, if the Rangers get it, I won't be as mad just because the Devils suck this year. Now don't get now 94. I will not root for them in 94. You just came off a double overtime.
I'm tapping the logo, not the year.
Yeah, it's like yeah, no, I will not root for this year again with the Devils being garbage. I would be like, okay, if they made it to him, I would be happy for you guys and in all honesty. But yeah, this team is so I've never seen a team so frustrating in my gosh darn life.
And you had good games against Toronto and the Islanders.
I know that's I told you all year. This team is so Jekyll and Hyde. It's not even funny. They get up for these big games, and then for these games that everybody on God's green earth should be like, yeah, they're gonna win this game. Ottawa, the Ducks twice, the Sharks, all these teams, the Blue Jackets, all these teams that you should have beaten. You laid an egg in every single one of the games, and I don't want to hear coaching. I mean, it was a part of it. I don't want to hear coaching. This team needs veteran leadership on this team. I love Nico, and he's a great captain, but they need somebody below him that has tough mentality, has leadership, that's been to a cup run. Palat is not the answer with this. He might be just too quiet of a gentleman on in the locker room. You need somebody that's gonna show this team that this is what we do to win in hockey in the playoffs, and they need that. And this is what desperate between that and the goaltending. This is their two go-tos for the offseason for me. I mean, I feel like they need somebody just gritty that's been through the mud before in a in a playoff scenario, and they need to look for it this year. I know it's not easy to find, but that's what they're between that and finding a number one goalie is their two biggest things for this year, at least for me going into this offseason. But don't get me wrong, we still got games to go, and I will be enjoying it. But like I said, once we get to the playoffs, I will be finding a team that I feel like in includes me into their little fold, and I won't be rooting against the Rangers unless they play the Rangers. Which I think, but I'm thinking a West Coast team. I'm thinking one of those West Coast teams really are intriguing me. Just to get out of the East because most of the teams I hate in the East anyway. So I'm thinking West Coast. I'm thinking
You get
Winnipeg.
you
I'm
get
thinking Winnipeg. I like the Peg. Vancouver, of course, because of the Hughes connection. I would root for Quinn to hopefully make a big run in the playoffs. Those are the two teams I'm right now looking to establish as my playoff team for this year, so I can
you
not be disappointed and sit home and go, oh, good.
I mean,
Right
you
team's
get an
not in.
audition tomorrow to watch the Nashville Predators, and they
That's
could be a playoff team tonight. They
they
could be a
could
playoff
be.
team tonight if a whole
They
bunch
could,
of stuff happens.
uh, oh, and by the way, yeah. Does Before we get to that, does anybody want this third seed and second wild card spot? Does
No,
anybody want it?
nope.
Does anybody damn want it? How are we still even like mathematically like eligible for this?
Point
Yeah, so
seven
there
percent chance. 0.7%. It ain't zero, baby.
we
0.780.
I no, it is zero, and I'm sorry, whatever. It is
Round it
zero.
up, it's one.
0.0. Not happening. I even told Maddie today. She's like, but what up? No, it ain't happening. I'm sorry. Have you watched this? Have you watched this?
Have you?
Have you watched this? Like, what in God's, what would you even think watching that gives you any indications of a playoff team at all? Power play, mid, since the beginning of the season. Penalty kill, mid. 5-on-5, below average. Goaltending, way below average. What in? I mean, I guess it's the mind of a child, and I guess maybe when I was this age, I was probably excited too, thinking that they were gonna be, oh my god, we're gonna be in the playoffs. It doesn't matter. You always still got a chance. No, I live in the 2024 reality, and it's not
I,
happening.
I live in the real world, kid. Get,
I
get
live in
used
the
to New Jersey
2024
Devils
real world.
losses.
And you know what? I'm gonna again. I know this is we're gonna get to the Rangers. I promise.
Oh,
Rangers
yeah,
fans.
no,
Like,
well,
we will get to the Rangers, and
don't worry.
I just need this rant. And this is gonna go to
No,
you too.
because I have a question for you after this.
Mm. So my toked out theories, as I call them, those are the theories at night when I'm by myself. I'm sitting here. I get disappointed by another Devils game. I sit here and I think, and that's the worst thing for me to do is think. Because God, why would you think I would want to think? So I'm blaming everything with this Devils Rangers thing. I'm blaming this on Game 7 last year.
Why?
For some reason, that was their really last game that they showed any kind of like, I don't know if it was, I don't want to say heart because that's bad to say, but almost like a camaraderie of a team. They played so well in those last couple games in the Rangers series last year. And Game 7 was the epitome of that. Winning that series was so big for the Devils going into this year at the end of last year. You think about it. They beat the Rangers in 7. That was wonderful, and it was great bragging rights. But I think they took that into the season like that was some accomplishment. Because they go five games to Carolina. They start this season. They think they're world beaters. They think they're Stanley Cup contenders. They don't go out and make the bigger moves that you thought that they were going to do this year. They just figured, all right, we're going to stay pat with what we have. We did good last year. And like I said, when we go into the season, I mean, Do you remember our first episode? We were talking about the Devils being 7-0
Oh my
in the
God, yeah.
preseason. Remember that I was so jacked for a 7-0 in the preseason. I'm like, this team is world beating. We're coming out. We're firing. We're going for the. Me. I said they might win a President's Trophy. Now the shoe's on the other foot. Now you see the difference between. And now I'm gonna go, and that's a comparison I want to go to too. Comparing the Rangers and what they did in the offseason and they did
Blake
compared
Wheeler.
to what Blake, whatever. Little signings, but look at the team you're putting together. I mean, you put and people are starting to come together. People came together on that Rangers team after this series, I feel like. And I feel like they're like, all right, it's enough. We got beat by our little brothers, and don't get me wrong, Devils fans, you are the little brother. I'm sorry. I mean, I love little brothers. Apparently, I'll give me little brothers all day.
Ew.
No, I don't care what you say.
That's
That's how
that's
you should
weird.
feel. You are the little brother, and like I said, Big Brother came off the mat and whacked you this whole season, swept you in the season. Your season has gone to hell, and look at the Rangers now. They went from that loss last year to now. They're in a spot to win the President's Trophy. Their team is coming together. I know, again, I don't watch them as much as you, and you could probably dissect a little more. But when I watched that game Wednesday night, they look like a complete team. I mean, like I said, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I know I don't watch every game, and I don't follow it as much as you guys do. To me, they look like a solid team that can go a long way this year, and they've really come together as a real team. And that's what I was watching that TikTok before, and that's what they said. The Rangers, after the brawl and everything, after the Devils game, they look like a real team on the ice. And you got to give the credit to the coach. I mean, like I said, they went out and got it. That was the other thing too.
Yeah,
We beat the Rangers last year. Instead of we could have you're talking about the Predators. We had Andrew Bernay on our bench last year. Apparently, he was the one that was running this stuff because he goes to Nashville, and now they're a playoff team. And this basically the same team from last year. Where are we? We kept Ruff. We let him go, and now we are in the
you
shitter.
kept him, extended him, and then let him go.
Yes, this is my life as being a Devils fan, folks. It's not fun.
This is Gunk's This Is Your Life Now promo. Everybody's
This is
tuned
your
in.
life.
On WrestleMania weekend, Gunk gets to have his This Is Your Life Now promo.
Uh,
Oh my gosh.
but yes, it was so bad. And again in that game, they go down 2-0 to the Rangers, and they come back and get the lead. I'm having a Frank the Tank moment. They get they get the lead. It's not even like they got blown out of the game because I would expect. Trust me, I was waiting for the fight because we all knew that was happening. We all knew the fight was gonna happen. That was no doubt, unless they didn't put him in the lineup there, that it was happening, regardless of when and where. The fight was happening. Oh, but it's frustrating. It really is. And then when, like I said, when you play the Rangers, you come out with this horrible first period. You're down 2-0. You're deflated, but then you give us that.
That sliver of hope.
Let me tweak. Let me tickle you, and you get them 3-2, and you're like, okay, maybe this team has something deep down that I'm not seeing. And then you come out in the third period, and again, like this is where I'm telling you, I feel like the Rangers are a complete team, and they're a real team this year. They came out, didn't blink an eye, calmed, relaxed, put 2 up on you, game over. Rangers win, done. That was if the Pittsburgh game wasn't like an official like 99.9% done, the Rangers game made it 129%. Forget it. And I'm frustrated. I don't want to talk about it no more.
All right. Well,
No, I'm just kidding. No, of course.
moving.
What's the question you got?
Uh, so I'm looking at the standings before we get into the Rangers real quick.
Okay.
And you mentioned that nobody wants this third spot in the Metro.
Yes.
Out of the one, two, three, four teams that are separated by a point for this third spot, the Islanders, Penguins, Flyers, and Capitals, who do you want making that third spot? Because
For the third spot?
the third spot, I want the Caps.
Um, uh, for you, as a Rangers fan, I would want be anybody but the Islanders. I again, it's more like the rivalry thing. Almost a carbon copy of what last year would be with the Rangers. With they're playing one of their heated rivals in the first round. It's going to be a tough series. Except you've got the Islanders got a good goaltender. Their offense is not as potent as the Devils are. But I feel like that series would be probably the toughest for you guys. Anybody else, I feel like you probably, except for maybe like a Pittsburgh, maybe because they've really been on a heater lately. I mean, that's the only team I could
Oh, I wouldn't want
see.
Pittsburgh. I wouldn't want
No, that's
Pittsburgh
the only
again.
team I could see you not wanting, and I'm the Islanders, so I
There,
would I would
I'm
say the Rangers. If the Rangers they would want Washington being the third seed, or maybe a Philadelphia, just because they don't have the experience. But again, they have the most awesome coach in the goddamn world, so you can't fault them for that.
the the only thing that I'm concerned about right now is playing either Washington or Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. Honestly,
Well,
these are all teams I really do not want to see right now.
okay.
But I also don't want to have the Rangers lose the first spot in the division.
No,
Like, because you want an easier matchup, but these are all teams that it seemed like I was listening to the radio yesterday morning and they were talking about how sometimes teams just have a team's number.
yes.
The Capitals for some reason just have the Rangers number all the time.
Oh, see that's where you're getting into. Like I said, I don't watch the Rangers every week, so that's something that said
And
you
this is
would
going
definitely
back
know.
at least a year or two at this
Mhm.
point. The Rangers just do not play Washington well for some reason,
Right.
and Philly just plays the Rangers hard. Like
Well, again, that goes to
I
coaching
that
because
yeah, that goes to Torts, but
that
like
definitely goes to coaching.
still,
Yeah.
they even even last season or seasons before, even before Torts, they still play the Rangers
Rangers
hard.
hard.
They find a way to get in there. They still find a way to make these games competitive no matter what. The Rangers Flyers games are relatively low scoring.
Right. If you get Philadelphia, it's already it's gonna be a grinded out. You're gonna need Igor to stand on his head
Oh, and I
for
fully expect him to, but I'm
Oh,
also
absolutely.
I'm also happy in the confidence of knowing that if something were to, God forbid, happen to Igor, you have Quick that can back up.
Yes.
So it's never, I'm not too concerned. My biggest concern is on defense with this team.
Right.
The Miller Trouba pairing is still, and I've been saying it for the past, how many games have they played? 77 games.
Hmm.
The worst pairing that this team has. You saw while
Okay.
Trouba was out, Miller was playing phenomenal, was not phenomenal, but was playing better. I
Right.
saw he was making improvements in his game. He was actually playing. He was playing defense. He was playing solid. He knew when he needed to jump in on plays. And then Trouba comes back, and it's just the worst pairing on the ice again. And it's no fault to Keandre Miller. It's Jacob Trouba. It's Trouba's fault.
Right.
Like, he
Right.
is genuinely just. I don't feel like he's a good fit on this team anymore. And of course, now that I say this, he's going to be great. But like, I just don't feel like he's a good fit on this team. He's an okay captain. I don't feel like he does much to help contribute to this team, and he's recognized that. He said a lot of the stuff that's been happening on defense is his fault.
Right.
And honestly, I feel like you noticed a more complete team on Wednesday when you were watching the Rangers against the Devils because that pairing wasn't on the ice.
Because of what happened with the fight and
Because they were
everything.
on
Everybody
they
gets
were on
with
the
all
ice
the
with the fight.
injection. Right.
So they got kicked out, and you just lose your worst defensive pairing and and your fourth line. That's okay.
By the way, give both teams credit. God, they played with 4 defensemen for 59 minutes and 58 seconds. So all eight of those guys, as I don't care whatever the game was, standing ovation to those
Oh,
four guys,
absolutely.
those eight guys on the Rangers and Devils. I mean, playing with a three pairings is usually kind of hard on the defense. They play a lot of minutes still. I mean, these guys played almost over 30 minutes, a lot of them. So,
You made Brendan
forget it
Smith
was
play
old
half an
school. It
hour
was
of
really
hockey.
good. Bavin?
You made Brendan Smith play half an hour of hockey.
Oh, that was my
But he
point back.
scored. But he scored.
Yes, and he scored. But going back real quick, that was the thing with the fight, and who knew all five of them were gonna fight was Travis Green said, if I thought all five of them were gonna go, you think I would have put Marino out there? I mean, seriously, like Ball, we can understand. Ball is a big, strong, strappy guy, but Brendan Smith should have been out there with Ball if they all knew they were gonna start this brawl, and you know he puts Marino out there, not thinking it was going to be like a 5-on-5 brawl. So
I mean,
we lose. I mean, we lose Johnny Marino, and apparently something happened to him because he's not playing tonight. So he must have some kind of injury that's going on
well, did you
with
see
this.
the
I mean,
Rangers
Keandre Miller kind of flattened him.
Yeah, he
I
kind
mean,
of
he
fucked them
flattened
up.
him. There's a meme with fucking poor Marino looking like he's like Superman out there flying with his arm. Oh, poor Johnny Marino. Got to give him credit though. He went out there and he did what he had to do, even though he flopped. All good for him. But I'm sorry. Yes. But yes, I mean, at this point, who would you even try to like replace Trua with? I mean, just is there anybody coming up in the system? You think they have to go out and get somebody at the end of, at during the off
Not
season?
even get rid of Truba. I just feel like you need to change who he's playing with.
Okay.
Because he's still a good player. It's just he's not working out with Miller, and I feel like you could do Truba Schneider.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because I really don't expect the Rangers to bring back Eric Gustafson after this year.
Okay.
They might. I'm not sure if he's. I honestly don't remember if they signed him to a 1 or 2 year deal. Um, if they signed him to a 1 year, then like that's fine. I like he can just leave and we can figure it out. But honestly,
Right.
bring Zach Jones up. I thought he was playing a lot better with the Rangers while Trouba was away. He really showed flashes of brilliance, I guess. I don't really know.
Right.
But no, he showed capability to be a decent player. I mean, granted, he would be the third pair,
Right.
but honestly, I'd rather that over anything because at this point, it's something's got to change without blowing up the entire decor
Right. Okay.
because like you you're pretty much having to worry right now about making sure that Lindgren and Schneider get signed because they're both
Right.
going to be RFAs. And that's pretty much who you need to worry about right now. I mean, you could get, like I was saying around the trade deadline, you could find a way to get rid of Lindgren
Mm-hmm.
and get something else. But even then, if this is what the team is looking like and you can shift stuff around and lose a couple guys, that's fine. You could keep this group around, but you would just have to figure it out.
Right. Exactly.
But honestly, I would want to use that money for I would want that money to be used for like the people we got at the trade deadline. I would want to keep around like Wenberg and Roslovic.
Which again, great trade deadline moves. I
Yeah,
mean, that really has worked out for this team.
those are two players that I was expecting to watch them come in and do well. They were going to play well. They were going to play hard. They were going to play solid. Alexander Wenberg is now one of my favorite players in the NHL,
I,
hands
I
down.
he was really good on
That
Wednesday night.
third line
Really
with
good.
Will Cooley and Capo Caco
Mm-hmm.
does not stay in their own zone for more than 40 minutes a night, 40 seconds a night.
For a second, yeah. No, absolutely.
this that line is a hard working dedicated line to making sure they just pound through the neutral zone to get the puck in, and they're getting rewarded for it. Cooley scored, Kako
Mhm.
scored.
Yes.
There, you, you gotta be happy. You gotta be happy with where this Rangers team is at. So
Oh no, absolutely.
I
The Wenberg deal at the trade deadline was a really great move for the Rangers this year. I mean, he really has he's fit into this to the system like a glove. And again, like I said, watching Wednesday night, just again, not even that he does like he puts stuff on the stat sheet. It's just the way he plays. And you could tell when that line was on the ice, they were like you said, they were hardworking. They were grinders. That's what again, I feel like that's what this Rangers team needed was a couple grinders. They didn't need scoring, they needed grinders.
yeah,
And they pulled it off. So, like I said, that's why I got a good feeling about this Ranger team this year.
and Barclay Goodrow is scoring.
Hmm.
Barclay Goodrow is he scored two last night.
I know. I
I
was
I was I I was telling a couple of my friends about this. I was so not looking forward to this game last night against Detroit. It was the we could go back to teams that just have the Rangers number. In
Detroit.
Detroit, the Rangers do not seem to play a good game at all. They've never played a good game, and I'm not sure if it's just how it's. I'm not sure if it's just Detroit because it seems like it was the same way in Joe Louis.
Right.
So I'm not sure if it's just Detroit, if it's the ice, if it's the boards, the way the puck interacts. Because I'm convinced. I know they say they had different boards from Joe Louis. I'm convinced they're the same fucking ones.
Same bouncy boards.
Same bouncy ass fucking boards, pucks just going everywhere. I'm convinced they're the same fucking boards and they were lying to us. Little Pizza Planet has the same boards as Joe Louis Arena.
Hey, one of the greatest goals at Joe Louis Arena was the uh was the Niedermeyer goal against the Red Wings in the '95 finals when he made the rush and bounced it off those bouncy boards and it came right back to him and he scored. That was one of the best goals in Devils history. I still love that goal. I still will watch highlights of that goal when it pops up on my feed or anywhere anywhere in like Devils TikTok lore or whatever.
Yeah, it.
So yeah, no, I can understand the bouncy boards at Joe Louis. I remember those really
Oh,
well.
they bothered me so much, but I miss Joe Louis Arena.
And like I said, we got and Detroit is again. Now you're
That's
now
another
you're
team
just
that I'm worried
that's
about.
another. I was
That's
just gonna
another
say
team.
I was gonna say you're
I'm worried
worried
about
about
all of them.
Philly and Washington. You got
Detroit's right
Detroit
there.
only a point away, and if you guys hit the number one seed, you're gonna play
Yeah,
that second wild card team anyway. So you still got a chance to play either like a Detroit or somebody like Detroit. Well, Detroit's really the only team left from the Atlantic that can get in right now because it doesn't seem like Buffalo's making a big run,
I would like
and
an Atlantic Division matchup though. It would be cool. Spice it up a
it
little
would
bit
be. No,
because like
absolutely.
I I like the playoff format, but I love the old playoff format.
I know.
There's got to be some way that you can just mix them together. You just
I got
do a
you. No,
mix.
again with the way sports is nowadays with playoff systems and everything. I mean, we went from so I mean baseball used to be
Oh,
two series and it was over. Now it's like 18 like you don't
don't
even
even get me
like there's
started on baseball. Thank
I
God
know
the
I mean
Rangers are good because if the Rangers were bad, and I had to sit down and turn on the fucking Mets.
uh
I'd oh, there would be
oh
no
are we
there would be no podcast. There'd be nothing. There'd just be me. There would just be an hour-long video of me screaming into this corner.
yeah, that's how I feel.
That oh my
I
goodness. Go
but
Phil's
yeah,
by the way.
I thought we were gonna have another a Frank meltdown with the Mets now. Shit,
No,
so
I'm not even getting started. Love the Mets, but fuck the Mets. But
fuck
yeah,
F the Mets.
but yeah, Detroit. It's there. It wouldn't be a
They
bad series at all. It would just be another tough series because it's another desperate team.
Yeah, and I feel like that would be the way you're explaining it'd be a great series. Two old, two old original six teams playing against each other in the first round. That'd be a great series. I would love. I'd be down for watching that
As
definitely.
would I. So hopefully we could
And you got the Patrick Kane thing too from last year with Patrick Kane playing for the Rangers last year.
stop.
Going going up against going
Stop,
against the Rangers.
because when he scores the game 7 overtime winner, I'm gonna want to cry. I'm gonna throw a cinder block at my head.
We're gonna go back to this in a month or so, and I was gonna don't blame me for even bringing that up.
Oh man, now I'm scared. No, now I don't want that. Now I don't want Detroit. Now I don't want any of them. But
Yes,
it's it's getting down to the wire in the NHL, and the
yes, it is.
Rangers still have that. It seems like they have a little bit of distance on that President's Trophy race now. They're
Yeah, I
3 points
mean,
ahead of Boston and Dallas.
mhm,
I don't I don't think I'd be upset if they got it. I know a lot of people are talking about the President's Trophy curse or
right,
whatever. I just I don't feel like it matters. I mean granted the Rangers have been doing good in the regular season. The playoffs are a different game, but like
right.
I feel like the President's Trophy doesn't really need to matter right now in terms of what you're looking for in
No,
in 2 weeks. And you got 2 weeks.
yeah.
Uh, it's it's gonna be something that they shouldn't even be focusing on. They just got to focus on making sure that they're ready for when the playoffs start on the 20th.
Yep. And again, one game at a time. You can't look forward, in this league. You gotta focus on your next game. Your next game is what matters. You go play, you go check your next game. That's what you need to do. You can't start looking ahead. I mean, of course, as fans, we're always gonna look ahead, but as players and coaches and front office, you gotta just one game at a time. That's all that matters. You play one game at a time. If you keep it up, good things are gonna happen. If you start looking ahead, it always works out bad for the team that's looking ahead. I mean, there's a lot of I mean, how many times we all watch sports? There's a lot of seasons where people will rest people, at the end of the season, especially in football. They'll rest, game 17 of the year. They'll rest them getting ready for the playoffs, and then they go to the playoffs and they're just not focused as they were. And I always hated that. And I'll go back to the '07 Patriots team where they were like, you know what, we're gonna go for this 16-0, and they went for it against the Giants. And again, that year, of course, with the Giants, they were like, no, we don't, you're not going to do this in our building. We're playing our people. Even though they had a wild card game coming up the next week, they played all their people, still got beat by the Patriots in that classic game at Giant Stadium. But then that momentum that they said, hey, we could play with the Patriots for four quarters. That's what gave them the momentum going into that Super Bowl where they upset the Patriots, the 18-0 Patriots. So for me, after that, I always focus on you shouldn't be looking ahead at anything. You should be always focused on the game ahead of you, especially as an athlete. You should always focus on the game ahead of you. And you play your next game. Whoever you guys are playing, that should be your focus. Don't worry about who makes the playoffs. Don't worry about winning trophies. Don't worry about it. If this team has the mindset of going out and winning every game that they play in, they're in good shape. If they start looking forward to like, oh, well, we can win this trophy or we can do this that's when stuff gets out of whack. And for me, for the Rangers, I say coaching everyone one day at a time. Play one game at a time. Worry about the playoffs when the playoffs start. When you know who your opponent is, that's when you start focusing. Don't worry about teams that are not even in a position of a playoff spot right now, or not in where you would even play them right now. Go out, play your game, focus on your team, and go get the job done. Get in the playoffs, and see what you can do.
I totally agree. I I had the same mentality once the Rangers clinched the playoffs. It was nice for the day that it happened, but
Right.
people were asking me, they're like, "Are you excited?" And I was like, "I mean, I was, but there's still work to be done."
Of
Like there
course.
this
Yes.
team still had the team still had some holes that needed to be filled on the ice, and needed to fix up their play a little bit, and now they're starting to show that, and they're still just playing for 2 points every night
Right.
because you still got those pesky Canes coming around.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like
And
the
they're not going to be an easy out either.
no, and
They're not.
you know you're going to be seeing them at some point. Probably you have no
Yeah.
choice,
Yeah, you have
but
no choice. I mean,
it's a matter of pretty much just staying strong in your last couple games. The Rangers got really lucky with Pittsburgh. It was Pittsburgh beating Carolina the other night, right?
yeah. Yes.
And getting the 5 point lead back on the division and everything. So it's good to see that they're still taking it game by game the way they should be and just continuing on and just figuring out what they need to do for the remaining games until it's time for the playoffs because they're coming up.
That's it. One game at a time.
One game at a time, baby.
One game at a time. That's the mentality. Like Boomer Esiason always says, one shift, one period, one game. And he's exactly right. When I heard him say that, it's totally right coming from an NFL athlete that actually says that. That's the way all teams should be. One shift, one period, one game. It's said beautifully. So Boomer Esiason gets all the credit for that. I loved when he said that. I think it was last year he might have said that during one like the Rangers run, but like I said, that's the mentality that this team should go. We should pop in their brains. And I feel again watching on Wednesday, that's how I feel like they are. Like they never seem like they get frustrated at stuff. Where when you look at the other
No, they don't
side
get
with the
frustrated. They don't get visibly frustrated. They get to a point to where the entire team is angry and they decided, all
right,
right, we're done playing games and let's play the game.
right. Now you remember the stretch like earlier in the season when they were having the frustrations, Shishirkin was throwing a stick. Chuba was getting pissed at people. At that point, like I said, maybe they had like a sit down or something. I mean, didn't hear nothing about it in the media, but maybe they had a sit down and was like, listen, guys, this is what we got to do. We got to cut this frustration down and just play our game. And it seems like ever since that stretch of time, they've been playing their game. In any game I've seen them in, at least for me, like I said, they just don't look, they look like a solid team. They don't look like individuals. They look like a
Yeah,
solid team on the ice.
this team doesn't really ever feel like they're truly out of a game.
Yes,
Like there
that I
has
can
not
agree with
been
too.
there has not been a like the Rangers losses recently, while far and few in between, have not been the worst loss of the season like they used to be every time
Right,
the Rangers lost. Like
right,
you go back to November, December, anytime the Rangers lost, it was the worst loss that you've watched this team have.
right, exactly.
So to see where they went from then to where they are now is so impressive.
No, absolutely.
And you really got to hope that it translates over. But if it doesn't, a lot needs to be changed.
No, I totally agree with that. And like I said, with the playoffs coming up, like I said, like I said, their mentality is like I said, they look like a solid team. Like they just again, again as a fan when you watch every game, you have that feeling. Like the Rangers to me they could play any kind of game. If you want to play a 2-1 game with Igor making 50 saves, you could play that game. If you want to play a friggin' 7-6 shootout, they can go with you with Zibanejad, Kreider, Lafreniere, all the great
Everybody, yeah.
Panarin, of course. All these great offensive players. You could play a shootout game. You could play a defensive game. That's why I feel like the Rangers have a great shot this year in the playoffs, just because of that from that what I see on the ice is they could adjust to any situation so far. And again, through this whole season, any Rangers game I've seen, that's how they play. They play any kind of game you want to play. They'll go, listen, we want to play our game, but if it goes the other way, we can play your game. And that's one of the frustrating things about the Devils season. It seems like they only can play their game. If it's a fast-paced shootout game, they're good to go. If it turns into a grind, they just don't have the passion. And that's why I was saying going into the offseason, they need toughness and grit because I feel like that's what the Devils need. That we have the scoring. We have the players, we have the stars, we just don't have that like solid grinder. And again, when you say with Weimer, he's the perfect. He was again. It seemed like he was the perfect fit for this Rangers team, and I feel like he's gonna have a great playoff series. I mean, he had a good playoff series last year with Seattle,
Yeah.
so you
So
know, he had that little run last year with Seattle, so he's got experience. He's ready to roll. Perfect fit for this Ranger team, and I feel like this is one of the moves that could make this team really scary in the playoffs this year.
I sure as hell hope so, Gunk, because I need a deep run. I need a deep run right here.
I
All
understand, my
right
brother.
here. But
I understand.
I got one more question for you
Mhm.
before we wrap up the program here.
Yes.
Is Matthews hitting 70? Yes or no? He's at 63 right now, and I believe the Leafs have 6 games left. No, they have a little bit more. They've only played
Okay.
75, so they have 7 games.
Again, yes, I definitely feel like he'll hit 70.
Okay,
Yeah, I feel like it. Yeah, he's just he's just one of those great players
he's too
that
good.
he knows where the puck is he knows where the puck is every time, and it always he's just one of those that always lands on his stick at the right time, and he always puts the right shot on. So good for Austin Matthews. I mean, again, 70 goals, that's a big accomplishment in this
Yep,
league. So
good for
good for
Austin.
him. I
And
mean,
McDavid could hit 100 assists tonight in Calgary.
which again, that's
That's
fantastic,
insane.
especially to the start he had and the injury.
Uh, that
I mean,
entire team. We could talk about that.
yeah,
We could talk more about that next week and the weeks coming.
yep.
But the Edmonton Oilers, oof, that is an amazing hockey team right there again.
Yeah, and
They figured it out.
that's where I know I hate to go back to my Devils again, but again, that was a situation where at the beginning of the year they realized what their problem was, and they took the initiative right off the bat. They were like, "Yo, this is the coach we want. We're getting rid of our coach. We're going to the Hartford Wolfpack. We're gonna grab Knobloch, put him in. You're gonna run his system, and now look at them. So that's something like I said between where you got Edmonton that knew what they had to do, did it early in the season, and now look at them now. Where the Devils waited until too late, I feel like too late in the season to make a move that big of a move that quickly, and that's why they're a disaster, and Edmonton has again a chance to win a Stanley Cup if they can get it together in the playoffs.
Ooh, an Edmonton Rangers Cup final would be
Mm.
nice and cute to end off the episode here.
It's the Messier final, baby.
Hell yeah, and
There you go.
we'll be
I'm
with you
down for
through the
that.
whole ride.
I will take that Stanley Cup final right now, and I will watch every game of that because that will be one fantastic series.
I totally agree, but Gunk, this has been a totally fantastic episode talking here with you this week.
Yes.
It's always a pleasure, and
Yes,
gang,
it
it's
is.
always a pleasure that you listen to us as well on YouTube and checking us out with our content on TikTok.
Yes. More TikToks coming, I promise.
I promise as well. I've been a little bit slow on them, which I'd like to apologize for. But
That's
gang,
right. We're getting built. We're building up here, Nick. So, like I said,
we're trying, baby. We're
this is
trying.
only our guys. This is only our first season of doing this. We're working the kicks out. Next year, I guarantee you, it will probably be every game. You'll see a Devils review, and if Nick wants to throw up a Ranger review,
Oh, I've
we'll
been
we'll
thinking
probably
about
be
it,
doing that
baby.
all season
I
next
may
year.
do it for
Well,
the pod listeners. I may be doing something like that for the playoffs. So keep
that
your
would be
eyes tuned
awesome.
on the YouTube channel. You'll see Rangers reviews for the playoffs and everything, and you'll see this episode and all the other
Love
ones
it.
that we've uploaded. But gang, this has been Nick. That's been Gunk, and this has been another week of the What the Puck podcast. We love you. Have a good one. Peace.
Peace.